Hey Maggie, thank you so much for joining me with this interview. How are you doing today?
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm doing good. How are you?
Well, I'm great. So Survivor NCSU season two. Obviously, I'm unfortunately talking to you because you were the first boot. How are you kind of feeling after
Yes.
seeing it air?
I honestly felt a lot better seeing it air than I thought I would. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be like trauma like backloaded." And honestly, watching it, I was just like, "Yeah, you know what? Like, it was fun. It was cute."
Yeah, I mean, I knew the result of the end of the episode, but I could honestly say that I was really upset because I just thought you'd be an amazing character. I thought like you had good confessionals, and even in the limited amount of time, like I thought you had potential to be really fun.
Yeah, I thought so
Yeah.
too. But I thought so
Um,
as well. No, we
But yeah,
laughed.
so like jumping into kind of like before the season started, did you have any like experience watching Survivor, like or Survivor NCSU season one? Like what made you want to apply?
So I had never like seen Survivor before. I didn't like even really know like pretty much anything about it, but Will, Will Adams, he was on the first season. He was in it and he was like, "Oh, I'm doing this." He's a huge Survivor fan. He is a huge Survivor fan. And so I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then I ended up like watching season one like every day on the release day, and I would like have watch
Hmm.
parties with my family. Like stuff was crazy. I was a fan for Survivor season one, and so I was like, oh, I'll just do Survivor season two because that seems fun. So yeah, that's what I did.
And then do you think like watching it like was it what you expected going into the game, or was your expectations kind of like different from what you experienced?
I definitely think it was a lot different than like what I thought it was going to be like. I think what is it? I went in and I didn't really have any like super expectations about like what was going to happen. I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to have fun. Like we're going to see what happens. Like all these people seem really nice and like super awesome." And I had been to some of the parties beforehand. So like I'd been to like Legends before, so I like with everybody, so I was like, "Oh, I like everybody." So this is just going to be like hanging out with everybody doing like weird little challenges. And then we got there and then I was like, "Okay, Slay, this is awesome. Like we're doing great." And then I was immediately voted out. And I was like, "Oh, so this is what this game is." I was like, "Oh, wait. This isn't just fun little girly pop time. This is like, oh, we got to go." Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you say Legends, and I know Aziza in the episode name dropped Legends as well because of your connection with Lee. And in your starting tribe, Lee and Jameson were the two returning players. What was your kind of strategy when you heard that like there was not only returning players, but those two people going to be on your tribe?
Yeah, it's actually really funny when Aziza brought up that I went to like Legends with Lee. I thought it was so funny because she brought it up in the circle with Jameson, and Jameson was also another one of the people I had been to Legends with. So I was like, okay. I was like, girl, like that's crazy. But yeah, the strategy with the returners is I was like, oh, I'm like kind of I knew that Lee and I like were super close. So I was like, okay, like I'm gonna team up with Lee because I like Lee. I like hanging out with Lee. And I was like, oh, Jameson's like I figured we were just friends. So I was like, okay, cool. Like I'll talk to Jameson when I talk to Jameson and it'll be like totally fine. Um, and I didn't really see either of them necessarily as like threats or anything. I saw them both as kind of like allies. So it's okay. Lee
But it's
liked me.
interesting.
Lee
No,
helped.
yeah, it's interesting because in the episode, I mean, you talk about Jameson being an ally, but I think in the episode you kind of see that Jameson was kind of the one to kind of push the ball rolling and kind of drop your name out. What are your thoughts about that? And like, what do you think about that game move with Jameson?
Yeah, so at first I was really upset with Jameson because I was like, what the fuck? Because I was like, girl, like I thought we were friends. Like I thought we were fine. Like this doesn't like make sense. I was like, it was a good strategic move. So at first it was like at the end of the day when I was like after I'd like thought about it for a little bit, I was like, you know what? I don't like what you did, but I respect it because it was a good move to play because duh. And then I don't know. I had a lot of pent up rage towards our lovely Jameson for a little bit,
Mhm.
but then I just kind of got
Relatable if
over
you've seen season 1.
it. Yeah, no, there's Jameson. I feel like everybody on the Survivor cast has had a little bit of beef with Jameson at some point. Um, but yeah, that was I pretty much just like got over it, and I was like, you know what? It's a game. Like I respect his choice. I respect his decision. Like it was a good move to play. Um, and you know that end of the day, you gotta do what you gotta do. I was like,
Yeah,
slay.
so, you say you knew Lee and Jameson on your tribe, but I know also in the episode, Caleb mentions that you had, connections on the opposite tribe, on the humanities tribe. Like, who did you know from there, and did you know that they were gonna be playing, and what was your strategy kind of, if you were to connect with them?
So I knew Lindsay on the humanities tribe. I think that was the only person I knew. And Lindsay and I have been friends for like forever since like freshman year. I didn't really have I was I was just kind of playing it by ear. I didn't really have a plan
Mhm.
of like what I wanted to do if we like merged over and we like talked to them, and actually got to be tribes with them. But I figured that my plan would be just like hang out with Lindsay. Like,
Did you know that Lindsay was also applying to be cast, or was it, like, a surprise when you arrived on that day?
I knew that she was applying as well. I
Mhm.
think, yeah, I think I knew she was playing as well. I think that was yeah,
Mhm.
because I wasn't like
And
surprised. I was like, oh, where's Lindsay?
you're, like, looking for
Like,
her.
where is she? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like you say, like you were on the STEM tribe, she was on the humanities tribe. What was your overall like thoughts and opinions on kind of the theme of the season? Like, did you think that being part of the STEM tribe like helped you, or I know you guys lost the first challenge, but did you think that it kind of gave you an advantage over them, or what was your reaction to that?
I thought that STEM was gonna bust out a lot better than we did. However, there does have to be some sort of like knowledge here, some stereotypes of like, we're STEM girlies. We don't run, we don't pick things up, we don't know how things work in real life. I can give you a mathematical equation if you want me to, but I don't know how things work in real life. So I was like, we like went up there and all these humanities majors were like, okay, we have a plan, like we got this, done, done, done. I felt like the humanities team just was cooler in general. I hate to say it. They had like some really cool people. The fact that they had more like girls, that was super cool. Oh my gosh, I literally watching the first episode back and Aziza saying in like a confessional, like, oh, I was hoping to do a girls' alliance, but like I just don't think Maggie and I vibe like that. I was like, "Oh my god, that would have been awesome." Like she should have told me. Like I would have been like, "Yes, absolutely." Um, but that just kind of sucked cuz the girls alliance would have been cool. It was so yeah, I really liked the humanities side because they had a lot more women on that and I felt like
Hmm.
that was an advantage, not going to lie.
Maybe who you would kind of relate to more.
Yeah. Also, it's just like I'm around STEM people all the time, like in my classes and everything like that. Doesn't necessarily mean I like being around STEM people 24/7. I just am like, yee, women in STEM.
So you talked about how Aziza said she didn't really click with you, and it kind of seemed like from the episode that Aziza and Quinn were kind of quickly on the outs. And in your confessional, you talked about kind of extrovert, introvert kind of thing. Do you feel like kind of being that extroverted person obviously can have pros and cons, but what was your kind of thoughts about like being kind of that outspoken person on the tribe?
I felt like when I was being outspoken, I was doing a lot of like the talking and the leading and like making sure like everybody was communicating and stuff like that. And kind of like, oh, we're all on the same page here, blah, 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 blah. And it felt like I was one of the only people doing that. It was definitely like Quinn and Aziza were very quiet, like very quickly from the get go. Like Quinn didn't speak very much. Aziza didn't speak like at all. So I kind of automatically was like, oh, if you're not like putting in an effort to introduce yourself, quiet. at first, and they kind of like paired up pretty quickly as both being quiet people, and then they'd kind of like it was just like an easy little like identification of like, oh, okay, like they're not really talking, but they're over there. So that's cool.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was, I don't know. Those two were just at the very beginning, like so quiet that like I was kind of like, oh, okay, like we tried to get to know you, like we're putting in a little bit of effort, but there's only so much effort you can put in to like getting to know someone when you're
Mhm.
playing a game and you only have so much time.
Yeah, so one question I really had, because as someone who played for season one, like the gameplay was a bit slower, and we were kind of all grouped together. But as kind of Jameson said in the episode, that like it seemed like this group was really playing hard. Do you think that was kind of just because you guys were all STEM majors and like fans of the show, or like did you kind of see that dynamic play out when you were there, or like what was kind of the vibe of the whole tribe in terms of like the gameplay and the speed of which you guys were playing?
Yeah, so I don't know. So I never played season one. Obviously, I just watched.
Yeah.
Um, and I didn't really know that there were going to be any expectations about how we were supposed to play the game. I kind of just went in going in. Um, so I didn't really notice what Jameson was talking about like it being really competitive. I'm sure it was. Like I'm sure like you can watch the episode. We immediately are like talking about stuff and like we're
Hmm.
immediately like conversing about everything. We're not really like trying to get to know each other. I don't really know why that happened. I think I hate to say it, as someone who was very outspoken in the group, I feel like I was part of the blame to that. Because I went in and I was like, okay, immediate, let's go. And I just kind of went in and I was like, okay, it already seems like these two people are quiet. Um, these seem like the most obvious choice. Now you just gotta like get everybody done and then we can just chill. Because I was like, let's get it
Hmm.
done and then we can just relax and like not worry about it. And then instead of that, it just became like I think really stressful for everybody because then it was like, oh, like we're gonna like talk about everything, and then it ended up like going all over the place, and then we ended up for the entire hour like talking about stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It was just one of those things where when Jameson brought it up, I really didn't know that there was like an expectation that we were supposed to be like really like go lucky, go friendly. I didn't know that that was like, all that kind of stuff. I just kind of went in and I kind of went in gun swinging, guns a blazing. I'm trying
Hmm.
to I'm trying to have fun, but I'm also trying to win. I'm trying to do my thing.
Hmm.
And immediate like, okay, like who are these people? What are we doing? Blah 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 blah. Yeah, I think it also was
Yeah,
because we lost the first thing. We lost the first like tribal thing, which sucked.
yeah. Well, I just think it's really interesting, like how the game has already evolved from season one to season two. Obviously, it being College Survivor, you know, like you're gonna have like the gameplay and it's gonna shift. And with that being said, like, would you consider playing again in a future season, or if you do, like, what would you do differently if anything?
I definitely think I would consider playing again. I think that like the feedback, especially from Jameson, of like everything went really quickly. You need to like make those relationships with people is really important. And I felt like while I went in guns a swinging, that's not a great strategy. So I would definitely like just chill a little bit more, try to get to know the people. Um, I also thought that I had a little bit more time than I did on the show to like get to know people. Um, but yeah, I would probably just like chill a little bit more, make more friends, talk more about like random stuff instead of like immediate to strategy.
Yeah, that makes more sense. So I just have one question, or I guess kind of like activity for you, and then we'll send you off. So
Exciting.
I'm gonna list all the names of your former Savmate contestants, and
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a word association. I'm gonna say the name, and then just give me the first like word or phrase that pops into your mind. Make sense?
Yeah.
And then feel free to be as unfiltered as you want, or as yeah, about anything. All right. Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, writer.
Discord.
Quinn.
The Pikachu shirt, the yellow.
Lee.
Oh, everything.
Caleb.
Oh, please. um, Weed.
Aziza.
Oh, dating Ryan's brother. I didn't know that.
Some
That
behind the
was like
scenes information.
that was sorry. That was that was a little bit behind the scenes. That was
Uh,
like a big thing for me. I was like,
and lastly, Jameson.
Snake.
Snake.
Live, laugh,
Oh my God.
love. Love Jameson.
Yeah.
No, literally.
Well,
We live, laugh, love.
well, thank you so much, Maggie. This has
Yeah.
been really fun. My first interview, so hopefully you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And
10 out of
yeah,
10.
and anything else you want to say, your last moments here in the season 2 of Survivor NCSU, any behind the scenes, or just like your final words to the audience?
Uh, I had a great time. Apply for is season 3 we've already done. Never mind. Season 4 when it comes out.